Hello friends, and welcome into a perfect day in Michigan's spectacular Upper Peninsula, about 10 minutes to the west of Escanaba, where you will find a destination with a little something for everybody in your family. And over the course of the next few minutes, we have the privilege of introducing you to a pair of championship courses by the names of Sage Run and Sweetgrass, created by Paul Albanese, who also will join us on the program. So stick around as we showcase a place you have to visit sometime this golf season.
Welcome to Michigan Golf Live Television, celebrating our 20th season of shining the spotlight on the best places to stay, play, and enjoy the greatest game on earth. Stay connected 24/7 to MGL on Facebook, Twitter, our weekly radio show, and podcasts on the all-new FOREGolfersNetwork.com.
Hello friends, and welcome into the show. I'm Bill Hobson. It is great to have you with us for a special treat because we have crossed the Mackinac Bridge into Michigan's spectacular Upper Peninsula, and then we headed west about 2 hours and 15 minutes near Escanaba, officially in Harris, Michigan, where we find Island Resort and Casino, the home of a lot of fun and 36 holes of championship golf, tournament quality golf, literally tournament quality golf. And we have a lot of ground to cover here in the moments ahead, including a special look at a recent expansion and renovation to the entire property. We want to get right to the golf course because I'm standing on Sage Run. It's located about 10 minutes away from the main resort. And this beauty in 2019 was officially declared as the golf course of the year. So helping me along with a tour of Sage Run is the architect, the man who earned that distinct honor, Paul Albanese. And my first question for Paul as we connect remotely is, what did it feel like when you earned that kind of recognition right out of the gate?
Sage Run, yeah, when that won its award, again, I was really thrilled because Sweetgrass had won an award back when it opened up back in 2008 or 9 when it opened, and to actually repeat that kind of accolade with Sage Run is a real treat. I really didn't want Sage Run to be the stepsister to Sweetgrass and not have an equal award, if you will. So it was nice to get that accolade. And as I've told you many times on your show and in the past, they're very different golf courses. One's, they're like red wine and white wine. They're both flavorful and both wines, so to speak, but definitely different flavors. So I was glad that Sage Run could also gain the accolades from the golfing world, which is something that's always pleasurable for me.
Over the years, you've also introduced me to a special phrase that I like to quote every once in a while, make myself sound smart. So the drumlin. Could you define the drumlin and illustrate it for our audience?
Yeah, I remember telling you about the drumlin. I've told a lot of people about it. It really does define the property at Sage Run. It's a landform created by the glaciers, back in the Ice Age. When they were receding, in these flat farm fields, they would leave these deposits called drumlins, and they're really like an upside down spoon, if you will, in the middle of a flat piece of land. And in Sage Run, there's a pretty prominent one, and we went out of our way to use that and have golfers go up, over, around, through the drumlin in many different ways to experience the drumlin.
Quite often, if you ask someone to describe their vision of northern Michigan or up north golf, they talk about a lot of elevation changes, which certainly you have at Sage Run, but most golfers envision always playing those downhill. How did the seed get planted with you to, on a few occasions on Sage Run, play them uphill?
So the uphill holes that we tried to route were usually shorter par 4s or par 3s. You never want to have a long slogging, at least me personally as a designer, I don't think a long slog par 5 uphill hole is desirable. So you want to get back up the hill so you can continue to play down the hill. So getting up easily is the key, and then having dramatic views playing down is the reward for getting back up the hill.
I am such a big fan of shorter par 4s that have the potential to be drivable. And I'm sure you have influences in your professional life that led you to appreciate those as well. As we look at the 8th hole at Sage Run, I've always wondered, where am I supposed to aim this tee shot? Here's the tree. Am I supposed to go left or right? How do I avoid the trouble? What is the Paul Albanese guiding principle on number 8 tee?
On number 8, the idea really is you can go for that green, 2 feet, 3 feet, 4 feet, 5 feet, 6 feet, 7 feet, 8 feet. You can go for that green. 2 feet, 3 feet, 4 feet, 5 feet, 6 feet, 7 feet, 8 feet. in one shot. You want to try to take that shot to get there. You're most likely, if you don't hit it well, going to end up in a bunker. And that bunker is not going to be a greenside bunker. It's going to be a 60, 50, 70-yard shot, which most people say is the hardest shot in golf. Now you can play it, or you can play it safe right side of the tree, and you can have a wedge in all day long. So you can choose if you just want to have that wedge in and take that shot, or you can try to go for the green and risk those bunkers.
Obviously, not every hole demands a driver, but one of them that does, I believe, is number 12. If you're playing it from the tips, it goes back to 585, and it's one of those holes where when you stand on the tee, I wonder if that's a different zip code where that flag is located. It just looks like it's a long ways away. 12
is interesting. I remember that hole before we even moved it, a mounded dirt at all. We looked at, we walked the site, we were looking at different landforms, and from almost day one when I saw the site, that had kind of this two-tier looking effect to it, just from the natural lay of the ground. So we continued to develop that hole, and it continued to have this dual type of feeling of two layers and two different avenues to play. And we had plenty of space, so we went back as far as we could within reason. And the idea, again, really deciding how you want to play it, on the high side and the low side, and that's really what the whole concept was from day one. You heard from Paul Albanese. Now let's hear from the director of golf here, Dave Douglas, and the Sage Run experience. How do you describe it?
Sage Run is it's built on a high ridge, so a lot of elevation changes, a lot of holes carved out of the woods. The first few holes will similar to Sweetgrass for those who have played Sweetgrass, kind of in the open, fescue grass on the sides, but totally different. Kind of has a rugged, rough look to it, but great golf conditions.
Quite often we think about up north golf as a lot of downhill shots. What Paul Albanese did over there at Sage Run brings some uphill shots into play. It's a very different experience.
He does, yeah. The uphill holes are the shorter holes, so it does, come into factor there, and then the long holes are the downhill holes. So, the elevation change does help you on those long holes, but it's very friendly. It's not real narrow or anything, so it's player friendly. Just a whole different look than Sweetgrass.
Well, there's your look at Sage Run. What a job Paul Albanese did in constructing that beautiful championship test. We've got another golf course to see here in the moments ahead. But first, we take a quick break. When we return, we're going to showcase some of the other fun you can have here at Island Resort. Hey friends, welcome back into the show. Nothing to see here, just me caught in the middle of a lily pad excursion. Well, as we told you at the beginning, there's a whole lot of fun to have here at Island Resort. You've already seen one golf course. We have another one still to come. In the meantime, I think I'm just gonna hang out here for a while. Well, Tony, let me have you share with everybody what the Sage Run Sweetgrass Island Resort experience is supposed to be.
Ooh, that's a tough question because everyone has a different take on it, but it's spectacular golf. It's a lot to do when you're done golfing. A lot of folks go on golf trips to northern Michigan and great, you have dinner, but then you go back home and play cards with your buddies or something. We got a full experience outside of that. That's really the difference.
Certainly you remember 2019 when Sage Run received these national awards for Course of the Year. That had to be a celebration around here, and the course just keeps getting better. Let me get your thoughts on Sage.
Oh yeah, of the two, it's my favorite. A lot of angles. The more you play it, the more you kind of understand what Paul did with it. It's really a fun course. It's really filled in a lot. It's mature now, so a lot of the landing areas that were once rocky are now cleaned out and sandy. The turf is 100%. It just really plays fun, especially this time of year when it gets a little bit drier.
Paul Albanese also had his hands in the dirt before Sage Run, creating Sweetgrass.
We're very fortunate. A lot of the pro players that come through here, a lot of our resort people from Arizona, they tell us they can't believe it. It's just beautiful. It's always in perfect condition. It plays fun, there's tee boxes for everybody. So It's a golf course for anybody, any place, anytime.
And you get to see the smiles and the nervousness on the faces of the competitors in the Epson Tour event that happens here every year. Those young ladies have dreams of making it big on the LPGA Tour, but one of those key stepping stone moments takes place right here. What's it like having these future stars here?
Well, you know, we originally got into it just to promote our course. Now I think we're into it to help them get to their next step, which is the LPGA. We want to provide a great stop. We want to have a big purse.
Speaking of the structures here, they have undergone a considerable facelift since the last time I saw you, including the sounds of young voices, swimming and going down slides and just having a blast in the new water park. What led you to make that decision, and what do you see when you poke your head in there and it's packed?
Well, you know, it became a bigger amenity than we thought. Our tribal council always wanted something like this for the kids. So we built it with that in mind, opened it to the public, and we got overrun, to be honest with you. The first 2 or 3 months, there was more kids than we could handle. So we kind of figured out how to manage that. It's a nice amenity, especially in the winter. People in the winter want somewhere to go other than inside the house, and there's no lakes that they can swim in. So this is really a winter amenity for us that's really taken off, that we're really happy about.
Well, so now for the folks at the upper end of the age spectrum, or older than the kids, you've added a steakhouse with some views and some food it's remarkable. So the Horizon Steakhouse.
Yes, it's our new steakhouse. It was formerly the Five Bridges when it was down here. We needed more people, we needed more space. You know, you have 128 more hotel rooms, you got to have a place for them to eat. So that our old restaurant sat 85, this one sits 200. And then we converted our old restaurant into a food court, so we're able to serve more people quicker.
As Tony describes the various amenities and attractions and features here at the resort, we've got to come into the spa, because as a golfer, I want to relax, especially after 36 holes on Sweetgrass and Sage Run. So the director of the Drift Spa is Cara Pasco, and I'm already relaxed just sitting in front of the fire. What a beautiful place.
Thank you so much.
Let's talk about relaxation, muscle soreness, and all those things that golfers who overdo it could benefit from here in the spa.
Absolutely. Massage is beneficial for golfers because it could increase their range of motion just by loosening up those muscles and stiff joints. It also would increase their performance on the course.
So you can guarantee a lower score if I come into the spa?
I can't guarantee that.
There's still some user error involved, right?
Absolutely, yep. And if you do get injured on the course, it will help increase the recovery time as well.
I would also guess that while some may be here to golf, perhaps they're with a spouse who doesn't play and maybe comes and spends a half a day or a full day here in the spa.
Oh, they do, yep. They take advantage of the Just for Girls package, so the wives can retreat and do their little bit of everything that we offer here at the Drift Spa.
So full pampering is available.
It is.
Hey, when somebody says they have a whole new method for relaxation, I'm going to try it out. And I'm telling you, I'm floating in like a foot of water, and it is absolutely wonderful and a great way to relax in preparation for our final golf course. Because coming up after the break, we visit the beautiful Sweetgrass Golf Club. Now, if you don't mind, I'd like a little privacy. See you later. Welcome back as we shine the spotlight on a spectacular golf destination in Michigan's Upper Peninsula, about 10 or 15 minutes outside of Escanaba, the Island Resort and Casino, where you will find Sage Run, which you saw earlier, and the beauty that is Sweetgrass. And I can't wait to take you on a tour of this wonderful course. We'll be rejoined by architect Paul Albanese just as soon as I hit this tee shot to within, 3 or 4 feet. All right, here we go. This is the 15th hole, the Island Par 3, playing 154 today. All right, we're a little bit on the left side. We put one on dry land and actually have a birdie putt. I'll take that. Now, let's check in with architect Paul Albanese and talk about the inspiration for this wonderful course. You have this unique piece of property that now, 12 or 13 years ago, you're invited to come in and help shape. And I know that you incorporated a lot of history of the Native American people into the, not only the naming of the holes, but into the design of them. Can you speak a little bit to how that history entered into your thought process?
I believe golf architecture is an art form, and it's more than just a place to play golf. It really can be a work of landscape architecture. And in landscape architecture, you're always trying to create something that has a meaning or fits with its context. So I wanted Sweetgrass to be a great golf course, first and foremost, as it proves to be for the women that go play it every year. But I wanted this golf course to be appreciated and liked by the members of the Hannahville community that were not golfers, that they could say a landscape was created for our tribe that represents our tribe. And that really was more than just building a bunch of nice golf holes and then just throwing names on them. We studied the history and the culture of the Potawatomis, and we took elements of those stories and we infused them into the design. And the key to this is we did it in a very subtle and artistic way, abstract almost. And I'm real proud of how each hole does, if you really analyze each hole and the stories that go along with them. The things that we did were really something that is something I cherish. And I've had non-golfers tell me they appreciate that as well.
To help illustrate that, if you could take us to the kind of the green complex on number 4. I remember you explaining to me years ago of how that was designed to pay homage to a particular part of the culture.
Yeah, you remember that. Very good. It's called Michigami is the name of the hole, and Michigami was the name of the fort that the Native Americans in this region used to hide from the Senecas who were coming over to attack them from New York. And so we used the concept of this hole as of a fort, because Michigami means fort. So we started to think about all the things that were representative of a fort. One of them, if you notice on the right side of the hole, there's some small wood coming out of the side of the hole. And now we didn't go and recreate a fort, but what we wanted to do was pay homage to a fort. So you see these wood timbers over there, and people go, what are those for? And if you read the story, and then you start to realize, oh, that's meant to represent a fort. And then we created a redan green. And if you know what redan means in French, it's actually French for fort. And so a redan green fit with the landforms perfectly, and it fit with the story just as well. So that's a really cool hole, and that it all ties together.
Now I'm going to take a wild guess that you are asked about number 12's green more than any other feature on Sweetgrass. I don't know if I'm on target with that or not, but I'll ask you about it. What was your inspiration for that fun challenge? If the hole is cut on the back tier, it is a beast.
It's a beast on the back tier, and that was a fun green to build. It's a Baritz green. If you know the history of golf design, a Baritz green is exactly that, where you have a tier in the front, you have a large valley, and then you have a tier in the back. And the best example is number 9 at Yale, done by Seth Rayner back in the 20s. And that's really where I got my inspiration from, because I played Yale when I was in college many, many times. And I always loved that green, and I always wanted to build a Baritz green, and it fit with the Native American story for that hole, which was also a bonus. But I remember talking to Scott and Tony about that when we designed it, and I told them that this is going to be a Baritz on steroids, because it's going to be a really deep valley, and the 2 tiers are going to be really prominent. And Scott was a little hesitant about it. He wasn't sure it was going to work. But as you said, it has almost become the talk about peace on the golf course. So it came out great. When it's in the bottom of the valley, hole plays easy. Put it on that back tier, and you're really looking at 4 is probably a pretty good score.
I jump ahead to another par 3, number 15, which I think probably serves as the postcard hole on Sweetgrass. And it also brings into play another historic aspect of the course with that bridge and the others that are around. Speak to, if you would, 15, both from the playing perspective as well as kind of that piece of history.
Yeah. Now, 15 clearly is quite a picturesque hole. And we start from day one with it being called the Island Resort and Casino. We were looking for an opportunity to do some kind of island concept. So we had that as an island. And we originally were going to do like they did at 17 at TPC, have a land bridge. And that's the way it was. But there's a gentleman named Pat Grollo who works for the tribe, and he's retired now. He called me one day and said, Paul, the DOT has all these bridges around here that they're giving away. Can we use them? And my construction manager and I got together and we said, hey, if you guys can get them delivered to the site, we'll figure out how to install them. And we ended up getting, I think, five bridges 5 old bridges, one being the one at 15, which is huge, and we installed those. And the bridges became so talked about that we almost ended up naming the golf course something like 5 Bridges or something like that. So they really are a spectacle to behold out there. And 15s, I show that around the country because it really is probably one of the more unique bridges to an island green that you're going to see.
And then there's one more feature I want to ask you about, and that is the shared green. So numbers 9 and 18 run parallel to each other, both on separate sides of a water feature up the middle, but they share a super wide green. How did you come up with that idea?
Well, I'm a fan. I like when it works out in the routing that you got, finishing holes, being there together. It works out for tournaments. It's a nice way to spectate. So I like, we had this double design of 2 holes finishing parallel. And then we saw that the greens were relatively close. And I've always been a fan of Scotland and places like St. Andrew that have the big double greens. So it worked out to be able to do that. And interestingly enough, again, in a very subtle way, we didn't want to make this really cookie cutter. But what we did is we took an image of the UP of Michigan and we laid it down on paper. And that green has a subtle notice of the UP of Michigan. So Tony always says, oh, you're over by Wilson, Michigan on that putt. You're over there by Sault Ste. Marie on that putt. But if you really look at it and you squint a little bit, you can see how we took the subtleties of the UP of Michigan and made that double green represent that a little bit.
Well, I've told a lot of people, I really believe those 2 courses are not just among the best in the UP. I think they're among the best in the country. And there's a reason that the Epson Tour comes to play Sweetgrass, that the NCAA comes to have tournaments at Sage Run. So I guess I would say job well done, sir. Well,
I would say thank you, Bill. It goes a long way to hear it from you. And I do the best things about the best rewards I get in this business are accolades from people like you and golfers who say that they really enjoy it. And the fact that these teams from the Big Ten come and play Sage Run and they're challenged by it and they enjoy it. And I get people who play Sweetgrass all the time and the women who come up every year and enjoy Sweetgrass. I mean, that to me is the reward that I can't put a monetary value on, and something the reason I'm in this business.
Earlier in the show, you met Dave Douglas, the director of golf here at Island Resort Casino, and we now talk about Sweetgrass, the cornerstone golf course, maybe in the entire UP, certainly in this part of it, hosts a professional event. The Epson Tour ladies come here with dreams of an LPGA career. Let me have you give our viewers a Sweetgrass description.
Well, Sweetgrass, it has that links appearance to it. Very generous fairways, all framed in with the fescue grass. Really good resort golf course for all levels of play. The difficulty will come in around the greens and then the distance. So you just play the right tee to your level, and it's very enjoyable.
This finishing stretch, 9 and 18, the mirroring par 5s to a shared green. What a cool way to end your round, whether it's on the front or the back.
It is, yeah. You have the 3-tiered waterfall coming up to those 2 greens, the casino in the background, the whole resort in the background. Very picturesque holes. It's very enjoyable.
You've had the privilege of calling this place your office for a number of years. You've seen this resort completely change from where you were to where you are. So as a destination, how good is this?
It really is good. Both courses we have ranked top 20 in Michigan. When I first started here, I thought, how are we going to get all these golfers up to the UP here to play?
They're here.
And they are here. Just word of mouth, some advertising, but the courses itself speak for themselves, and we're very busy. I mean, the people enjoy it and they keep coming back.
I think it was about 30 minutes ago that I told you our featured destination had a little something for everybody. And it sure does. I hope you've been convinced by now after seeing the renovated and expanded resort, the new water park, the fine dining, and of course, our 2 championship courses, Sage Run and Sweetgrass. And now, the invitation is here for you to set your sights on Island Resort and Casino, about 10 minutes away from Escanaba in Michigan's spectacular Upper Peninsula. I'm going to tap this in for par here on 15, and we'll look forward to seeing you here at Island Resort down the road.